Welcome to Beauty Flip. I'm Etika Shoni, where I flip the script every single week on what is our true beauty, where we find purpose and personal power. I do this with grounded wisdom, irreverent humor, and a no-nonsense call to live a life that actually matters. I'm not here to play small. Are you? I am a spiritual coach. I am a coach for women's leaders as well as for couples. I've been a stylist for 2 decades doing hair, makeup, and clothing, and I have co-founded with my husband, Salon Etta and Center for Beautiful Living. I bring to you a powerful understanding of where your beauty truly lies. If you are craving depth, edge, humor, and a little bit of divine disruption, then tune in. I got some good stuff to tell you. Hey all, welcome. Okay, today we're going to talk about a little bit more of these concepts of like the playing field. And we're going to talk a little bit about and I know my daughter, she makes fun of me like, Mom, those kind of calculators don't exist anymore. But this is like, if you will, 1940, 50, 60, like where they were, those accountants. We're going to talk about the mindfuck math. I'm going to give you an example of something that I've been personally going through. And I know each and all of you probably experience at least whenever you're going to go like to some sort of special occasion, if not like more often. But let's just like name some things here. So first and foremost, I just want to give you a sense of like what is like just the sort of what's so about being a human being. So human beings are social beings. They are. We connect and we learn and we grow through being with one another. And if you can just imagine a little baby, we definitely see this. We see that they learn how to walk, they learn how to talk. And when they start saying words, mama and papa are so like, mama. And mama's like, yes, you said mama. And then she videotapes it and she sends it to papa. And papa's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yay, mama. And then mom, and then more words come. And so you can feel that, just feel that energy. That is part of us, whether we are 2 years old, which is usually when people start picking up words and start speaking, to the rest of our life. That way that we try something on, and then we get feedback from other human beings, or maybe the world. Like sometimes the feedback, like if you're, I won't go too much into this, but like some of the things that you might be doing, like maybe being a scientist or an artist or something like that, where you try something in your brain and then the feedback comes back like, didn't work. Okay, so this constant place of like, ding, 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 yay, do some more of that is innately a way that we then push forward and try something. Yes, I'm going to do more of that. Ooh, that felt so good. This like wash of all these amazing little sort of brain, like I think probably oxytocin and other like endorphins that just make us so happy when we get positive reinforcement. And when we miss the mark, like maybe we say, nah, and mama goes, no, mama, we have a little bit of a different dip. And we're like, oh, okay, that didn't go well. I'm going to try that thing. What does she do? Mama. And so we learn from the yays and the we learn. And this is how ultimately we're kind of guided. And if you kind of think like of so many things in your life, there is this constant sort of like boop, 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 and we try to move away from things that feel unnourishing or dissatisfying or maybe frustrating. So like when we have those feelings in our body, we're like, oh, I don't want any more of that. I want to move away from that. And then when we want to, and then we experience things where we get the wash, whether even our own self, like I can remember like back the first time like I ever as a ski racer, like, really hit the mark and like skied really fast and I could feel my edges. There's this way that you ski where you like really go into the mountain. Oh, it feels so good. And so maybe for some of you, like that first time you dunked a basketball or you made a painting that was so beautiful, or if you're a dancer and you did some sort of dance move, a pirouette or something. So, these small examples that I'm giving extrapolate to all of life, all of it. Cool. It's so cool. So that is amazing. And actually, it is partially the way that we continue our species. Yay, species, let's keep on cooking. We're here, we're biological, and we're rocking because we're coaching and guiding us to do things that make us move forward in life. There is this innate curiosity, this innate desire for each and every one of us to learn, to grow. Now, some of you might be saying, girl, I hate school. No, you're wrong. I'm like, I get it, girl. You hate school. That's not what I'm talking about. Inside of you, when you learn things, when you see and understand your world better, you're like, yes, this is awesome. So let's just put school aside. Okay, so here we are. We're learning, we're growing, and we're, biologically helping the species continue. Okay, here we are, lovely human species. Let's add another layer to this thing because we still haven't gotten, okay, I don't know how this leads to mindfuck math, but whatever. I guess at some point you're going to get to your point. Let's continue on. So there's another layer, and this layer is that we live in societies. We live in societies, and societies, kind of, if you will, have rules. They have rules by which we want to operate. Our society was created back, whatever, I think it is, ultimately, just a little over 250 years ago. Thank you, society. And it was created by people who were ultimately allowed to create that society. Let's just look back into our history pages. White men. Okay, all of you who think I'm a hater, I'm not a hater. I'm just saying the what's so here. So there's all sorts of really cool ways that ultimately, as earnest as any human is, they have bias. They have bias because they can only see from their perspective. And this perspective, when our society was created by white men and has actually been furthered mostly by white men. And most of the time, we are in a situation where we have still a lot of rules that afford some people better, if you will, like in this sort of biological, better access to like moving their part of the species along. So notice I didn't say the species that time. I said they're part of the species. Okay. So in this, there's another piece that I want to add up, which is that we are a capitalist society. And God bless, I love capitalism. What it does is it encourages people to try to find ways to create things that potentially in a what we call free market will allow for people to choose what they want. So in this like purest form of capitalism is come up with ideas, create products, do things for people. And if they like you, they'll spend more money with you. And that sounds wonderful. I love that. And that's all well and good. But it also then has innately this little part of competition. Okay, now some of you are like, yes, bring it on, competition. Let's do this. I love to compete. And you're like, getting ready, like doing your stretches and whatnot. You're like, I can't wait. And other of you are like, I don't compete. And I'm like, I get it, because some of you do and some of you don't. And some of you are great at competing and some of you don't ever want to compete and it feels uncomfortable. I can tell you, we're not going to go into that in this episode, but in another episode, why. But the just basic is that somewhere along that line, this idea of competing and some people getting more of like their share of things, I hope you start to feel it now, is where the playing field comes in line. Okay? So we've created a system that potentially has been created by biases that maybe support certain people in our society. And ultimately, of course, all of us care most deeply about our own families and the people within our own communities because these are people we know. And at another level, whether we don't mean it or whether we do, we begin to separate ourselves from the pack. Are you following me? There it is. So like maybe this starts off like, well, I like Joe's company better. Joe does better. The things he gives, that's wonderful. That's fabulous. So I like Joe, and a lot of people like Joe, and then a lot of people come to Joe's company. And so Joe's company is up here and it's doing well and good. compared to Frank's company, which is, it's okay. And sometimes when I can't get to Joe, I go to Frank, and Frank is great and all that. So you can kind of get like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But unfortunately, there's places where Susie doesn't have the same opportunities, and so Susie's down here. And Susie can't even compete with, I think, Joe and Frank. Susie's down here. And so suddenly you start to feel this, and you start to feel, and I think a number of you could be like, sing it, sister. Yes, this is my life. Okay, if only this was when we were grown-ups, which is maddening unto itself. And if only this happened in business or sports or other competition arenas that we all can speak about, right? If only, if that was the only place that we had this, I think we could all be like, yeah, no, the Olympics, they really should have the elite athletes, and that's fine with me. So back off. But it's not that. It's not just all of these things that sort of look like the perfect place for competition and for people to create better ways to potentially create a business that might serve people and then they're rewarded. It might not just end up being for athletes who like have maybe better regimens and are better athletic or even have the ability. That's not what I'm talking about, because this bleeds all the way down through every aspect of our society, and you know it. And part of that bleeding is that it's this unconscious thing that we experience, whether we're watching movies, TV, Instagram, TikTok, and all the other things where we see people, quote unquote, I'm just going to use this word, winning. And so, ooh, before you know it, we're off to the races. Now, here's another aspect of this thing that we're seeing people winning, like, oh, okay, wouldn't it be great if I were like those people on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or whatnot? Yeah, that'd be great. But there's another level of this whole thing, because it also then bleeds down, even before we had those things, it bleeds down into who we are in our social peers. So even before we had TikTok and Instagram and all of the social media that is out there in the world, we all can say right now, hands down, that every single one of us are like, yeah, middle school sucked. And for some of us, like middle school, like really sucked. And then even for some people, like high school sucked. And then maybe you found yourself outside of high school, whether you went to college or you found a job and you found some peeps and you like your peeps. Maybe. Because truthfully, this playing field is there all the time. So how does it play out in middle school? Okay, let's just remember what middle school is like, and I'm going to get to this very quick. Some people have started to grow and they're starting to hit like taller, and some people are starting to actually blossom and they're going into puberty, and some people have braces, and some people have acne, and some people like have the ability for, maybe I'm just going to say this because this is the dark edges of the beauty world. Mom and dad can afford like the better haircut or the blonding highlights or the more fashionable clothes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Before we know it, we are in a world where that same thing that we were okay with in how the world is structured now lands in our education system. And it's not just middle school, and it's not just high school, and it's not just college. It is a constant thing where we are pushed. We can say there's so many places where like people have left neighborhoods because other people move into them. There's so many places where, God forbid, you are associated with someone who might pull your ranking down. So let's get into this mindfuck math, because you're like, okay, I get the playing field, but explain mindfuck math. What does mindfuck math have to do with me? Because currently what you're telling me is just what is so. Okay, let me give you an example of mindfuck math. You are invited to a party and you're so excited. And we're going to, for this example, we're going to take us out of middle school, but it happens in middle school too. But we're going to just say we're a little older, because by the time we're older, we should be able to do this. So you're invited to a party. Oh, and you're really excited. It's one of your besties who's throwing the party. And you know some of the people, you don't know all the people. And let's just say for, this party, there's a theme, maybe there's some sort of theme. So you either A, spent an insane amount of time looking for your outfit. So there's a portion of you that said, yes, I did. Yes, I did. As soon as I heard about the party, I went and got my outfit and I looked for it. I bought it. I shopped it. I did the thing. By the way, that just shows right there as one version of how people land on this playing field and how the mind fuck math plays. Because what they're saying is like, I'm going to make sure I fit in and I hit all the points, and I'm going to make sure I look the best so that when I get to that party, everyone gives me that affirmation that I'm looking for and I actually hit the mark. Which, oh, by the way, doesn't that sound like that party has turned, even if unconsciously, into a playing field where you're competing against each other? It does. So even when we don't mean it to, it happens organically. Okay, let's talk about the other, probably, I don't know, 70% of us. 70% of us are like, oh, okay, great, I can't wait. And so that party is like in 2 months, you're like, yeah, I'm so excited. And then like finally, it's like a month, and you're like, oh, cool, cool, cool. I think I'm gonna wear that dress. I love that dress. I think that's gonna be the dress. And maybe a couple people are, oh, I got a dress. And you're like, oh, you got a dress. Oh, she got a dress. And so then you're thinking, shit, should I buy a dress? Oh, but I don't really have money to spend on a dress. I don't think I'm gonna buy a dress. So then you're in this place where you're like, I'm going to look into my closet. And so the night comes along, and maybe it was even the week before. I don't know, but let's just pretend it's the night, and you get into your closet and you try on the dress that you're thinking you're going to wear. The one that you wore like at someone else's little shindig and you got so many compliments. You're like, yeah. Turns out it has a stain on it. Oh, shit. So you're like, and you throw it down onto the floor, because usually this is what we do. Maybe the first one you hang up, but sooner or later, now you all know where I'm going. So you pull out, you look at your closet, and you're like, okay, I'm going to try this. So you try on like this little skirt that you've liked and you've gotten compliments on, and you find maybe a shirt, and you put it on, and they don't just kind of really go together. So then you're like, put the shirt back. And maybe, I don't know, at this point, that shirt does land on the floor. Sooner or later, there's so many clothes on the floor. So you're like, what shirt? Shirt. Oh, I know I'm going to wear this shirt. And so then you put the shirt on, but now you like the shirt, but it doesn't really go with the skirt. So you take off the skirt. And then you find a pair of pants. Oh, I like those pants. Those are really cool. No, I have gained a little weight. These pants are a little too tight. You throw those on the floor. And before you've known it, you've gone through so many iterations. And before you know it, it's like this. And you're like, okay, if I wear the shirt, you're literally doing the math on this. If I wear the shirt and I wear those pants, even though the pants are a little too tight on me, that could be an outfit. But who might say something about me? Someone might notice that I've gained a little weight, and someone might say something about me. So I think the pants are out. Okay, so I have the shirt. What am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? I don't know. Okay, so let's go back to the skirt. Let's go back to that skirt. That skirt was good, but what am I going to wear with it? What top? What little outfit can I put with this? Do I do this? Oh, that looks a little too like risque. Maybe people will think that I am trying to show too much skin or try to be something that I don't want to be. Oh, that is not the message I'm trying to send. Oh, and you take off that shirt. And before you know it, you have a frenzy. It is snowing in your closet. Everywhere there is clothes falling every single place that they could be. You want to go naked. You don't want to go at all. Maybe you just go back to the goddamn dress that has a spot on it because it's the only thing that you have. God bless us all. You're on the playing field. You just wanted to go to a party. You're doing the mindfuck math. You're trying to figure out how to not get knocked down, how to not have people gossip about you, how to just enjoy, how to experience the beautiful thing of being seen and known, because that's what a party is for. And you are trying to avoid any place where you might feel pain of potentially seeing someone whisper about you, you feeling a little uncomfortable in your body, you feeling like someone might be looking at you, seeing that glance where someone looks out of their eyes. You know the one I'm talking about. Yes, this is where the mindfuck math comes in, because you're just trying to do a thing, but you know underneath the thing, the party is the playing field. And that playing field is where we are at competition with one another all the time, all the time. Now, some of you are like, girl, I got this. I went and bought that dress. Yes, girl, you did, because you did the mindfuck math and you calculated to the T what you were going to wear so that you could hopefully end up on the upper echelons of the field. You were like, So your math might have looked a little bit more like this. A little bit more, if you will, chill, a little bit more, and I am going to use this word, calculated. You did the math. You did the math on what to wear and how to look. And then the more frightening thing is how to be. This is all of us. To some degree or another, we walk into these rooms and we ask ourselves, ooh, how am I going to be? By the time you've dressed yourself, you've put on your hair and your makeup, you have already, to some degree or another, decided how you are going to move through that room, how to say the things and move around people, which of course this is society, I understand. But what it is also is the way that we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves. Before we know it, we are so out there trying to perform a social experience and trying to whether win or at least place in the event of the party that there's so little left of us. It is such a mind-blowing experience. So my little adventure of going to a party doesn't just happen when you go to a party. It happens every single day. It happens when you are heading to work. It happens when, and it's not just about dress and clothing, it is a constant drumbeat that we feel. It happened from the time that you were starting to be maybe 10, 12, 13. You started to notice first yourself. You became self-aware, but then you also started to notice how other people really reacted to you, your peers. And it hasn't stopped. And then the pressures of TikTok and Instagram and social media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, before you know it, there's so little that you can even hold on to. You're like one of the grains of sand falling through. And you are just really trying to grit through this. Of course we have anxiety. Of course we are completely unsure of what to do with our lives and questioning ourselves all the time. So now that I've explained it, I promise you, if you keep on following me, we are going to dive into how to unlock the mindfuck math. I promise you. We're going to get into some really good, juicy stuff about unlocking this craziness. That doesn't just happen at a party. It happens every single day you wake up. It happens with every single person pretty much, unless you have some really cool besties who just love you for you and they are your champs. God bless you if you do, because that's amazing. That is an amazing thing when you have those besties. So I look forward to seeing you on my next podcast, where we will dive even deeper into unlocking the mindfuck math and figuring out what to do with this goddamn stupid playing field that we can't get rid of, and how to really, truly, truly, truly empower, become sort of more connected to ourselves, find places of wellness, and seek what is truly beautiful about you, about me. Okay, bye. See you next time. Hey ho, humans, what a party that was, or wasn't. Oh my God. Join me next week when we look at why authenticity isn't the answer. Yeah, authenticity has been stretched and filtered and hashtagged into oblivion, where things have lost their genuineness and now just become one more point on the uneven playing field. Looking forward to playing the game. Join me next week.